Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Mayer.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Mayer. Welcome back to Referrals Podcast. I know some of you are binge listening and binge watching this, and I just have to say thank you so much, and we definitely appreciate all of you. A very, very special episode today, and I know I always say that, but I really believe every episode is like that episode that's going to change your life. It's truly going to just it'll plant that seed that grows into this beautiful tree of love, generosity, and appreciation, and you live your life differently from now on, and you truly have that opportunity today. We have to welcome, and here's the thing, it's like some of you are like, oh my gosh, that's Tara Carter. She's on the show. And it's like, yeah, she's been a guest before with other guests. She has been on Power Notes. She's been on as a guest on housewarming parties, and she has embraced the 7L system in a big way and has amazing growth with everything that she's been done and doing. Welcome to the show again, Tara Carter.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be back again because I love you and I love 7 Levels and I live and breathe it. So
awesome. I feel awesome. I feel like I need to say let's flamingo, you know?
Yeah. So I'm excited to flamingo with you.
And so, first of all, tell us where you're from, Tara, and kind of how you got started in real estate in that industry itself.
So I'm in the South Florida area, so Fort Lauderdale and Parkland, Florida, and I'm a 3rd-generation realtor. So my family's been in the business and are currently still in the business, and I am with them. And their business is about 100% referrals. Yeah. And I am still not quite there yet. They have 30 extra years ahead of me. I'm 4 years into the business, and my background is I was a preschool teacher. My degree is in early childhood, and then I managed high-end nightclubs and restaurants for about 10 years until somebody asked me, why aren't you in real estate? And the rest is history. So
you got your license 4 years ago or 5 years ago?
4 years.
4 years ago. Wow. I did not know that it had only been 4 years. What a 4 years. Wow. So when you first got into the business, you actually became a business, you became an entrepreneur, you became a real estate agent. What did you see as the challenges of starting?
It was communicating with my database and letting everybody know that I was a realtor. Because in South Florida, you can ask people where's their driver's license. You're probably going to get more like, where's your real estate license? Like everybody down here has their real estate license. So I was actually kind of embarrassed. To be honest, I was a little embarrassed to tell people, well, I'm just another realtor that's in the area. And that cost me a lot of money. So much so that the first time that I had the guts to call my sphere and just suck it up and call and say, listen, I am in real estate. How are you? I can say that within the first 3 calls, the one person is one of my biggest clients. I figured if I could call anybody, let's start at the top. Called the top client, and he said, oh, I just listed my house for sale for $3.5 million down the street. I was like, oh, really? I was like, why didn't you call me? He's like, well, I didn't know you were in real estate. And I was like, And then he managed to tell me that his business partner, just put an offer on a penthouse at a new construction unit down the street. And that you don't even need a realtor for. I mean, it would be great if I represented him. Instead, he walked in on his own because he didn't have a realtor he trusted. And he bought the $9.2 million penthouse that weekend. And
$13 million in business on your first call.
First call. I'll be honest, I threw up.
Yeah, I would have thrown up as well. So right there is like lesson number 1 already. We're giving lessons, 2 minutes into this thing where what's worse pain? The pain of picking up the phone or the pain of losing out on $13 million in business, So it's like pick up the phone and you're just calling to say hello. You're just calling to let them know I will tell you that secret agents don't make a lot of money in real estate. But I have to tell you, I mean, what made you feel, you almost felt like you were taking a step back or a step down getting into real estate. That's what it sounds like to me. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I just felt like another ticket number in the area. And, who's going to trust me with their largest investment in life? However, in the previous business, I had a lot of people, and especially I was the VIP director. So I had a lot of clients that did trust me with everything else. They would trust me with their money and their cars and to cater to anything they needed. So why couldn't I just add houses to the mix, really? And I was just a little too nervous or scared from it to do it.
Yeah. And a lot of people do get into business. Two things that kind of come up there is, one, they get into the business by default rather than by design. Not very many people will go to a 2-year or 4-year college, get their real estate degree, get into real estate, and start building a real estate business. That's the very much the rarity in this business. It's much more of, I was a teacher, you were a teacher, and maybe we looked at it as a summer job, or maybe we wanted to invest in real estate down the road and just wanted to learn more about it. And all of a sudden we're realtors, or somebody gets a divorce and the other spouse was the breadwinner. So they're like, all right, I'll get into real estate. Or they lose their job and it's like they don't have really nowhere to turn to, and they don't know what skills, translate to the market. So they get into real estate, and it's all by default versus by design. And so that's the first thing is all right, whether you got into this by design or by default, whatever industry you're in. I've noticed Referrals Podcast, our realtor community percentage is shrinking, though the numbers are going up. And we're starting to get like CEO, CFO, CMO, and major corporations tuning into what we're doing, and welcome everyone. But own it, right? Own whatever that thing you are doing. If you're going to be a real estate agent, just and don't ever use the word new, right? The word new implies an excuse, or it's an excuse for not doing very much business. You're like, well, I'm an agent, but I'm new. And the but I'm new is really like, well, but I'm really not doing any business, or whatever it may be. Listen, day one, you're a professional realtor. You're a professional real estate agent. Just introduce yourself as a real estate professional and move forward. And the other part of it too, just like what Tara just said, is that it's like, man, what value do I bring? I really know nothing about these contracts and about this business and that kind of thing. But here's what you bring to the table is they can trust you. You care about them, and they can trust you. And I will tell you, the one thing that every client has ever looked for is trust. And you're like, well, the competence, you can borrow competence in any industry. If you have a problem, there's somebody you can go to and say, listen, I need this contract written up. And I will tell you, it's amazing how fast a broker, team leader, or a real estate company owner will jump to your help when there's a contract to be written. It is amazing how fast. It's like they never return your calls. And then, hey, I need to write this up on a $3.7 million offer. Hey, Tara, how you doing? I'm like, I'm here to help, So it's one of those where I think it's just, remember, if they're going to trust you, they know you're going to care. So guess what? Call them. And people know you have shortcomings. Everybody has shortcomings. So I love that you,
very true.
Yeah, you overcame that and kept rocking it. So how did you get your first client?
So first client, actually, that was a Zillow lead.
Wow.
I'm hoping he actually doesn't listen to this, because he does not know that he's still my first client. And I've closed a little over 3 million with him to date, and he still doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when you said the word new, I think one of the biggest things that I had gotten in the beginning was my productivity coach, Bill Hobbs. He was so awesome. He said, listen, what business were you in before? And I said, teacher and hospitality. He's like, so would you say that you've been in the business of helping people? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, so when people ask, what do you do? Or how long have you been in the business? Your answer isn't, okay, well, I'm new. It's, well, I've been in the business of helping people for X amount of years. And I've added real estate to, my list of being able to help even more people, or to my treasure box, or whatever it is. And that script helped me a whole lot to get over that fear of, well, I haven't sold anything and I'm brand new.
Yeah.
So the word new, now whenever I hear new agents, or whatever business that they're in, don't use the word new, because there's something that you did in your past career that got you to where you're at.
That's right.
So the Zillow lead, he was $1 million buyer. I was on another team, and they gave me some of the higher end ones, and he was pre-approved. We had an ISA at that time, and I didn't really get to talk with him. I didn't even know what to say during a pre-qual anyway, so it's probably good I didn't talk to him. And then when we picked him up, I had my ISA come with us too, because he was brand new, so we were figuring it out together. And I did something my mom did that I remember being a young girl, and instead of going home right away, she would say, well, we have to go make this run. And I'm like, okay. And she would do dry runs. So still to this day, I still do this for higher end clients. And I did this for this buyer. Thank goodness I did, because what happened was we picked him up, and I drove to every house that we were showing that day. And I drove to the driveways using my GPS.
Yes.
And then and then I saw where to park and where the lockbox was and which lockbox it was, to make sure I actually knew what I was doing to open it, but I didn't open up any of them. So then we picked him up, and I drove to each of those houses with no GPS and looked like a boss that has been there 100 times and has done this a million times. And he just thought I've been doing this forever.
Oh my God. I love the dry run. It's even faster than previewing the homes. And people are like, wow, I'm not sure if I have time to preview. Don't preview. Do the dry run. And then there's the whole thing where, they're like, well, I know the area. Yeah, but do you know the new construction? And I mean, like, construction on the highways and the roads. And do you know, maybe the most direct way to get there? And the other thing that's weird is going house to house is not like going from your house to the mall or your house to somebody else's house. There's back roads, and there's all kinds of different ways to get there that are the most efficient and the best. So I love the dry run. I love going through, checking things. You're checking the lockbox. And honestly, isn't that what we should do? I mean, it's like a dress rehearsal for a play. Why wouldn't you do the dress rehearsal? Why wouldn't you do practice before you play in the game? And that's a great. I love that. That's a great idea. And
I made sure to have like all the sheets and whatnot, and I had the value of the range of like the Zestimate, but I wouldn't say the Zestimate. It was more of like a different site, and I had everything highlighted on the MLS sheets. Like, I was prepared.
Yeah.
And then after we finished, I took him to a restaurant where which is now my Home Court Advantage still. I took him to the Home Court Advantage, got a really nice table, knew everybody. This is before I met you, so it's funny that I just kind of naturally did it. And we sat down, we had a nice bottle of wine, because that was kind of a style. And we did, I believe in a Benjamin Franklin balance sheet. So my mom taught me that too, where I'm never sure about a decision that you should make. And I still do this with all my buyers. I take the back of the MLS sheet and I'm like, okay, so which ones did we like? We liked 3 of them, and we took it on a Benjamin Franklin balance sheet, and you take all 3 properties and you put it on a spreadsheet. So price, square footage, features, benefits, location, 2-car garage, everything that you can think of. And then to say it out loud, or to see it, and to see it on a piece of paper written out as a balance sheet, you can really make an educated decision fairly quickly and see which one kind of weighs out better than the other. So we narrowed it down to 2 options, and then it came down to spending $999,000 or spending $799,000. And of course, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't got a paycheck. I would love to make $1 million property as my first sale. And I had to be the same person that I am today, just very real and honest. And I said, honestly, what's the difference between the 2? And he said, well, that one has an 80-foot dock and this one has a 40-foot dock, exact same places. And I said, well, are you going to get a boat or a yacht? And he said, no, I might get a jet ski. I said, are you going to get 10 of them? And he's like, no. I said, okay, well then why don't we get the smaller one, save some of that money, and then eventually when we're ready, let's rent it out and build your wealth and get you another property. He was like, wow, that is genius. Because of that, I can't even tell you how many referrals I have gotten as the honest realtor.
Yeah, you use your expertise and ask great questions. Instead of getting wrapped up in the money and all that, you just ask, what does the client really need and really want? And let's get them that, even if it's a lesser valued property, and you had a solution for it. You can rent it later or whatever it may be. And you asked a great question about the thing, about it's like somebody's comparing a 2-car garage versus a 3-car garage. And it's like, well, are you going to have 3 cars? No, we're going to have 2 cars. Well, what would you use the 3rd car for? I don't know, and it's like, hey, listen, maybe you do the 2-car for 50,000 less and, figure out another solution for the 3rd car. This one has a little bit bigger basement. Maybe you can do the things you were going to do in the 3rd car in the basement. So, I love that, and asking great questions, answering. So, love the Benjamin Franklin comparison. Do that for a lot of decisions, and maybe you can add it like a weighted thing to that as well, like, which are the most important things. But I love you just have house number 1, house number 2, house number 3. You've got the features and benefits on the left. You do a check mark. All of a sudden, one house has 7, one house has 8, and the other one has 15 checked off. It becomes pretty dang obvious pretty quickly, maybe which one is the best one for them.
Absolutely. And I think that comes across not even just for houses, for any decision. I do it in my personal decisions. I've even done it if I was going to break up with a boyfriend or not.
Man number 1, man number 2, man number 3. I like it.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing here is all right. So explain the home court advantage a little bit too, from 7L for those that maybe aren't as familiar with it.
That is gold. I didn't even know I was doing it before I knew there was even a system to it. So the home court advantage is the place where you have recognition in regards to you've established relationships with others that work there. And therefore, when you go there repeatedly, it solidifies your credibility.
That's right.
It solidifies that you know people, you're connected, and then 2, that you have a reputation that should be a good one, or you shouldn't be going to that venue. And I obviously chose the place where I used to manage, and so I knew everybody. I mean, I could walk in the kitchen if I wanted to. Wow. I still probably could. And when most people say that they don't have a home court advantage, now I have 3 home court advantages in 3 different areas, because those are the 3 places where I like to attract those type of people. So my home court advantages are typically 2 of them are in 30 minutes apart from each other. And they're about the same clientele, a little bit higher end. I'm usually at one of them. I'm the youngest person every time I go there. Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of Italians from New York usually, and they play Frank Sinatra all night. But it's a family environment. And then the one I have on the beach is more laid back, but it's still kind of upscale. Mm-hmm. If somebody is looking to attract more of sports fans and stay under a certain price range, then go to your local wings place or your sports bar. I mean, but you have to be mindful, I guess.
Have you been watching me? I'm just wondering if you use the wings example, because
Buffalo
Wild Wings is one of my home court advantages, believe it or not.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer Buffalo Wild Wings over our Brews Room, but our sports bars around here can get a little rowdy, which I'm a dive bar kind of girl. I would rather not be at these high-end places. I'd rather be at the dive bar. But then I feel like I get a little bit more business from the other.
It's about the other person, right? Where they're going to feel comfortable and that kind of thing. We're comfortable anywhere. We can be comfortable anywhere.
Yeah.
So
chameleons.
So what? So 3 home court advantages. You're a regular there, and you're taking somebody who doesn't know you, is starting to like you, and you're introducing them in an environment where a lot of other people like you. So they instantly like you because all these other people like you. It's like, well, okay, they like her, so I'm going to like her too. I already started to like her. Now I really like her. So it's all good there. And which is the reason, like even in the dating world, right? They usually do a group date first, right? So they'll do a group date with a bunch of friends, and it's like, all right, what do you think of her, right? Or what do you think of her? And why is it? It's like a safety net. That's the same thing with the home court advantage, is you've got this safety net where people find out the real you, right? They find that you're likable, and I love that you have 3 of them for kind of 3 different types of auras, 3 different types of atmospheres, and probably 3 different times of the day, which is fantastic. So,
and I just would like to preface that if anybody's thinking about, they're like, well, I wasn't managing in a restaurant before, or I don't have a place where people know me. Well, you can find that place. One, pick the place where you want to attract those type of people. And then the next thing would be to go to that same place. Like if you're going to pick a place right now, go there for 3 days a week for the next 6 weeks, or at least a month. And I usually have a system where I'll eat a big lunch And then I'll just order like an appetizer and a drink, and I'm a huge tipper. You got to be a big tipper. They're not going to be happy that you're sitting there and working or having meetings. If I didn't have lunch meetings, and make sure that you go to the same place, and typically between 2 and 4 is when the staff for any restaurant transfers from lunch to dinner. So if you stick at the same time frames that you're going, it's usually the same people that are working. And if you stay through the transition as well, you're going to meet the new people that start the evening shift. And it's just repeatedly going. It's like going to the same coffee shop. And then when you walk in, eventually they're like, oh, they want your regular? It just happens by just going all the time.
That's right. And introducing yourself to them, you know, and getting to know their name and getting to know their family. You can't do that 11 to 1, but from 1 to 4, it's amazing the relationships you'll build. And in some cases, I've been in restaurants completely alone at 2:30 in the afternoon. You know, they've completely served their lunch, and I'm sitting there in the corner booth, and it's just me, you know, and me and the other person I'm meeting, and we have the whole place to ourselves. Well, when you start doing things like that, you get noticed, and the owner and everybody else is going to introduce themselves to you just for the sake of, you know, who is this guy? Who is this lady? What's going on here? And so I'll tell you the home court. And the other thing too is I've established home court advantages on the road. You know, if you know you're going to a big conference, something that I will do is I will go and find out a restaurant that kind of fits the bill. Do they have a private room? Do they have this? And I will literally go, and I will go to the maitre d', and I will go to the owner, if I can, at least the manager. I will give them $20 right off the bat. And I'm going to say, hey, here's the deal. I just want you to know that I'm bringing some VIPs in here, some business leaders over the next couple of days. I'm going to meet with them one-on-one. I know your private room's pretty good size, but you know, it might just be me and another in there. But I want privacy. These are really important meetings. I want you to treat the people that come in. I want you to treat them like gold, like they are super VIPs. You know, I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry about that. And then, you know, how much is the room? And I will tell you, it is amazing if you're meeting a little bit off hours, that room's free. You know, the room is absolutely free in many of those cases. So I've done that at many of the conferences that I've gone to attend or speak at. And we have these VIP dinners or VIP lunches around the conference. And, you know, it's amazing how fast, if you know this strategy, you can go from a perfect stranger to a perfect client in about 10 minutes. So
absolutely.
Powerful.
I wrote that down. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So how did you get started with 7L? Like, what was your first introduction to the 7 levels of communication? And you have the poster behind you on the
Of course wall, I do.
Right? So thank you for that. And by the way, I think we should make that today's download. If you want, there's an 8.5 by 11. It looks just like that. It has a lot of the strategies from 7L, and would love to have that be part of the download today. So.
And I have to say that the last 7 levels book club that I taught, one of the people in the class actually made that for me to put in my office. Awesome. And I was like, awesome. Thanks. So Matt Farrelly, I actually went to a book club of Matt's in Fort Lauderdale, and he's my other certified referral trainer with you, and in the South Florida area. And he had this book club. He's like, Tara, you have to come. This book is totally up your alley. And I'm like, like a book club. And that was over 3 years ago. So almost 4. It was still the first 6 months I was in the business. And so I went, and I was like, wow, this isn't like a normal book. Like, one, this is super easy to read. And then I loved it. And then you came into town for the Gen event. And I signed up right away. I didn't even hesitate. You blew my mind.
So I mean, I have to tell you, and I have a big thank you to Matt Farrelly, and I can't wait to get him on Referrals Podcast. And it's one of those where I have him to thank for a lot of people who have come into this as he has influenced. I mean, it's so much better to not just read the book. It's so much better to go through a book club, because the shared experience of that is greater than just you reading the book and experiencing it. And you had Matt there to ask questions or further the knowledge and that kind of thing. What was the attraction to what we were doing? Like, what was the thing that just made you like, I mean, because there's a lot of opportunities out there and you're a learner. So in the 6 to 12 months that you were you had already experienced a ton of different trainings. So what was it about this that was kind of the trigger for you, or what were you most attracted to?
You know, it was all about really you can have everything in life that you really want if you help enough people to get what they want, which I believe Zig Ziglar said that.
Yes.
And you really honed down on that. I mean, you were very purposeful about, you know, what can you do for somebody else? Like, how can you help them? What do they do? And how much do I really know about the people that are in my database? And how much do I really know about the clients I've worked with? And do I know their cousins or their favorite color or their dog's name and what's their dog's birthday? And you just really went really deep. And it was one of the exercises that you did. And you asked us, who is your Oprah? Mm-hmm. And I brought a friend with me that time, and she turned around and looked at me and she said, "You're my Oprah." Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, okay. So that was kind of the turning point for me, that it was about others. It wasn't about me, and it wasn't about my business. It was about, what can I do to help others? And it had nothing to do about selling real estate or selling a product or selling my soul to the devil. It was just about helping others. And I was like, wow, this is a totally different concept than any other trainings I'm going to. Everybody wants us to just ask, you know, this is the question, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And now I don't even ask that question. It turns out to be, typically they turn around and ask me, well, what can I do for you? Because I've just come from contribution so much that they've asked, you know, what can I do for them?
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
That's the secret. I mean, if that's the secret of the 7L system is doing so much for others that they are inspired to say, how can I help you, or what can I do for you? The answer to that's referrals, right? The answer is referrals, or the answer to that is referrals. It really is that, or introductions or connections. And that, you know, how does it start? It starts by giving massive value first. And when you give massive value first, then all of a sudden they are going to reciprocate with, how can I help you, or what can I do for you? Most people go, you know, oh, don't worry about it. Put their hand up. And trust me, they won't worry about it. But you've already lost an opportunity, because the truth is you want them to help you and you want them to do things for you. And maybe you never thought of it before, but the thing you really want them to do for you is introduce, connect, and refer you to other people. And that's the way to go, because that's going to be a warm introduction. It's going to be a good referral, and it's the truth, right?
The truth is good. And I think it comes down to when you say, you know, generosity is love in action, and the generosity creates energy, and then you call it Genergy. Yeah. And you have so many acronyms for so many things that I was able to really just memorize it and internalize it. And I was like, he's my people. Like, this is the type of community I want to be involved in.
What did you implement first after Gen?
The first one I implemented was the do it now. Yeah. And first thing I implemented was the do it now. I mean, I would write it down and say it in my car, and like literally count my fingers of how many times I would say it until finally it was like I would get like a text or an email or a task or an item, and I would be like my brain would just go, do it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was probably the first. That was like baby steps.
All right, hold a second before I have to tell you that was a game changer for me too. It's same concept, but it's okay. So what did do it now do for you? Like the repeated, I mean, 3 words, a 3-word affirmation. Crazy. I'm so blurry right now. Look at that. It's like a 3-word affirmation, and focus. Okay. So 3-word affirmation can change your life. Do it now. You say it to yourself enough, you'll eventually say it to yourself without saying it to yourself. You know, what did that do for you?
It got me moving.
Yeah.
It helps with the procrastination. It helps with my to-do list getting so big that I would just be so fascinated, because I don't like the word overwhelmed. I would just be really fascinated with how many things I needed to do. And then, you know, the squirrels get really big where you're like, oh, I got this over here. And then my list just would never stop. And then I ended up losing business. And because I wasn't staying on top of my game, because I wasn't doing it now.
That's so powerful.
So
and
that
I
really
have to
helped.
tell you, you've inspired me. I have a Gen in 2 days. And in working in the agenda, you know, you only have so much to cover in a day. So I kind of was debating, do I cover, you know, do I give them all the Do It Now band, and do we cover Do It Now or not? And I'm going to do it because of you. I'm going to do that right at the beginning. And
it's so simple. It's almost silly how simple it is.
It is. Well, and that's the thing that, I mean, I truly believe that any problem you have in life can be conquered with the right affirmation. You repeat it often enough, it will conquer whatever you have. I truly believe conquering smoking, conquering drinking. I truly believe that with the right affirmation, that is the first step to conquering whatever that may be. I truly believe it. Now, there's also the law of association, right? Associate with non-smokers if you want to be a non-smoker, associate with non-drinkers if you want to be a non-drinker. You know, and there's, you know, these other things is the law of act as if, right? Which is act as if the problem's already solved, right? It's like, I'm going to act like a non-smoker, right? What's a non-smoker do? They take less smoke breaks, right? They don't have cigarettes in their car. They don't, you know, so it's like this act as if, but I truly believe it starts with the right affirmation, and Do It Now is one of those. So that's amazing that you started with Do It Now, and maybe that's a seed to a trigger to bigger things. What did you do after that?
The DISC profile for the magic question. I didn't realize that, you know, I always tell people my strongest attribute, or when you go to interview and they say, what's your best characteristic? Mine's being a chameleon, to be able to literally transform to whatever type of personality the other person is. And I didn't even realize what the DISC profile was, or that there was a whole theory behind it. So being able to ask and internalize the magic question was a big game changer, because it went into my buyer consultations. It went into the listing presentation, but more for the pre-qualification to say, hey, can you please describe your home for me? And then based on that, it told me which one they were in the DISC profile. So that was probably the second one.
Yeah. So out of the following 4 options, how would your best friend or spouse best describe you? Right. You can only pick one. Are you 1? Straight to the point. Are you 2, social and outgoing? Yeah. Are you 3, steady and dependable? Or are you 4, cautious and perfectly accurate? So for them, which would you say you are? For the people listening, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, I'm social and outgoing.
Yeah. So 2. And so what would be your second moon? What would be your second choice out of straight to the point, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate?
Direct and straight to the point.
Yeah. So, right. So on the DISC profile, we know that she is an ID, and we're going to make sure that we do things quickly. We're going to even maybe pick up the pace of our language. We're going to have fun. We're never going to waste our time. We're going to do these things that are fast paced and somewhat people oriented. And we're also going to side that with, you know, some type of thing that's going to save her money or time. And every time we save her money and time, we're going to bring it up. Right?
And then you're going to write an email to me differently. And then you're also going to leave different kind of voicemails for me than you would for somebody else. Like those little things were just great.
Yeah. And so far you've spent $0.
Zero.
Right.
$0.
I mean, Do It Now, and then asking the right questions. You know, these are things that you can literally implement that could earn you millions, and yet there's no dollars invested in it. And, you know, I think that's a big power of that. So, all right, then where'd you go from there?
The 4 rituals.
Yeah, 4 enriching rituals. You're like going through the book. You know that? I mean,
well, I live and breathe it.
Like the Tara Carter story.
This
you know,
is
it's
like 80%
Rick Masters,
of my business.
move over, baby. We got Tara in the house. So
I mean, I tell people all the time, 7 levels is 80% of my business.
Yeah.
And we'll do, still on track to do 20 million this year. Personally, for me, closer to about 13.5. So I'm super excited, and it's all 7 levels. It's so simple. We've never paid for a lead. I don't pay any money on lead gen sites. I don't pay for any ads. I just started like Facebook with like $5 to promote my open house or something.
Yeah.
So the 4 rituals, the morning one was not one of mine. And if those are following me, I'm on the Miracle Morning journey, and you introduced me that originally. Yeah. And I am doing it again for real this time because I have a lot of accountability behind it. Mm-hmm. And I'm on day 57 of 66 at waking up at 5 a.m. and it has changed my life.
So talk about that, right? So talk about that. So the 4 enriching rituals quickly are just the morning ritual.
The pre-leave ritual, the Sunday night ritual, and the nightly routine.
That's right. And we've done podcasts on those before. I encourage you to go back and check those out. But let's focus on that morning ritual. And, the Miracle Morning for real estate agents, Hal and I wrote that for real estate agents, but it really applies to anyone. And so you have implemented, you're on day 57. What time were you getting up before you started getting up? You can say noon. I don't think anybody would not love you. But so 5 a.m., what were you getting up at before?
I'm like a 9 to 10 a.m.er.
Yeah, all good.
And
so you went from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. and you're going to do this for 66 days in a row, right?
Yeah.
And you're on day 57. How many days have you missed in 57?
0,
right? 0. That tells you she's a commitment person.
Well, I'll be honest. I did the morning routine with you when you guys had that with Tony and Jennifer. I mean, it was great. And I would start cheating after like day 12, day 14.
Yeah.
I would start cheating.
Well, there's less accountability, right? There wasn't somebody watching you like you have now.
No, and now I'm leading a group of 50 something people, and my pain, so they're not allowed to join, right? They're not allowed to change. They're not allowed to join the group unless they have a pain if they miss a morning. So my pain of missing a morning, they tried to give me a pain of monetary value for like money, like you spent $100. I was like 1,000. No, I was like, I got them up to 15,000. I was like, let's make it 20. Like, I'm gonna sell another house. It's fine. Yeah. And they were like, that's not working. So my pain is if I miss a morning, I have to go on Facebook Live and tell everybody I failed. And that's painful for me.
Oh, that's not painful. That's soul crushing. That is soul crushing. I have failed. You will not fail, right? I know you enough that it's like, you will not fail. And then to like go and publicly, admit that you failed, that's not going to happen.
No. So that was really helpful. And then I think the number one thing is to build a community around it to where it has, now, honestly, could I go on Facebook Live and tell everybody I failed? I could. However, all these people that are following me on this Miracle Morning journey, I would be letting them down.
That's right.
So it's bigger than me. It's just bigger than that now. Yeah. And I can't tell you how much my life, like sticking to this.
I want you to tell me. What has changed.
So coming from the nightlife business, like I
midnights were ingrained.
Like
Midnights
I'm alive.
Were ingrained. Yeah.
Yes, I'm alive at night. Like I just am. I have like the best ideas at night. I love working late. I'm always the last one in the office. Like I'll be here till 12 o'clock at night, no problem. And if I would have just listened to maybe my parents or maybe to the teachers that would have told me, if you get up earlier, you have not only more time for your business and those things that you want to work on that you never get a chance to do, you have more time for yourself, your family, and your friends. What? Who would have thunk? I've spent more time with morning teas with my grandmother, 80-year-old grandmother, like really getting to know her. It's just been magical. And I have to say, to watch some others, and I have more time for myself. I've worked out more in the last 57 days than I have all year.
Because you've had time, right?
Yeah, I just woke up a little earlier, a lot earlier. My body went into shock at first. So I don't totally suggest that for everybody. I agree with the 30 minutes each.
And the fact that you gave up caffeine at the same time is so amazing. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine?
Amen.
I mean, I know this is not a Mountain Dew commercial, though we would take Mountain Dew on as sponsor if they're interested. But I
That's
will
like
tell you,
coffee.
it's just like, yeah, you learn the value of caffeine when you're getting up early. That is for sure. But it's
Absolutely.
amazing what you get done before. I mean, if I gave, like, if I were coaching you at 9 a.m. and you were at 9 a.m., I would say, all right, if I gave you an hour start on yourself for the next year, who would win? The one without the head start or the one with the hour head start? Who would win?
The one with our head start.
100%. So guess what? Why don't you give yourself an hour head start? You know, you're giving yourself an hour head start by just getting up a little earlier. I'm not sure if I would encourage anyone to go from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m., but I would encourage people to just try getting up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow, right? Just get up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow. And I have this big thing right now, and I've got, we've actually got some interest from some big Today Show and other places about this. I mean, it's so funny is tweaks, not overhauls, right? It's about tweaks, not overhauls.
1 degree.
And yeah, 1 degree tweak, not a 180-degree turn, right? And so, but it's tweaks, not overhauls. It's like 15 minutes earlier tomorrow, and then get up 15 minutes earlier than that on Tuesday, get up 15 minutes earlier on Wednesday, get up 15, and on Friday, you're getting up an hour earlier. Just try that this week. See what happens. If you hate it, sleep in on Saturday. It's all good, right? But what we've discovered is when people will do something like that, tweaks, not overhauls, it's amazing. The first thing they do is they look around. They're like, I don't have anything to do. You know, these really busy people are like, I don't have anything to do. Well, you know, busy people, they'll fill it. So.
Well, if they look up savers and look into it, you can find things to do, and then also have a 60-minute morning routine. There's 6 things to do, and then do each one for 10 minutes. Make it a 60-minute morning routine, or even make it a 6-minute morning routine.
That's right. That's right. And one big thing that I know that you did at a big level is the housewarming parties. And we have an episode that we did quite a while ago on housewarming parties with you and Darla, and you and Shannon Gilmore as well, I believe, are on another group talk that we did. So are you still doing those?
I am. I graduated to a lot of those. I've added a lot more of your systems into play, and the housewarming parties and the events is probably my biggest successes. And now I'm even traveling across the country and teaching it, and it's just it's so awesome. And my housewarming parties have now turned into neighborhood block parties.
That's right. Yep.
And so that's really, really fun. And I found people that really want to be a part of this forever, to the point now my lenders, and we have a few that are coming up, and 2 of them that had to be put on hold. And my lenders are the ones stalking me down, and the title saying, okay, so when's the party? Like, is the party coming up? We gotta do this party because they really enjoy it.
How cool is this? I mean, look at you. You're like glowing.
I love housewarming parties.
Are you, and just like in general, right? I mean, so 4 years, what's different with you?
Probably my level of probably serving and my energy. I mean, I've always been a really positive person. I've always been really caring and generous, but now it's just 10x. Like, it's funny. I had a girlfriend of mine in the office. I've been mentoring her, and she takes me out to lunch the other week, and she said to me, you don't understand how many people come up to me all the time and say, is Tara always like that? Like, is she normally like that? Like, is that just her, or is it fake? And I was like, wow, people really think like maybe that I'm not always like this. And so open and honest and just me and nice, kind, and caring and generous, appreciative, grateful. And always grateful, always grateful, always looking for a positive in any situation. Yeah. And she was like, yeah. I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. And yes, this is me. I mean, do we have bad days? Yeah. I usually have bad days when I experience success suicide. Yeah. Or when, that was just basically a breakdown, and we know what's on the other side of a breakdown is a breakthrough. So just utilizing our people like you and others that are in our lives to just push through that next ceiling, because it's kind of a good thing when you experience a little bit of success suicide or breakdown, because you've hit a top and you need to. Well, you're growing, right? Yeah, you're being stretched. If you're not getting success suicide, there's probably a problem, So just know what's coming.
and just make sure you break through the breakdown, because that's where you break records, personal records.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, to be complacent is really to die inwardly. So I don't want to just be complacent. I don't want to be just content with my scenario. I want to make sure that I'm living, I want a 10 plus life in every aspect of my life. And
That's
it's
right.
to strive for that, not just say, oh, well, I'm okay with being a 7 in my personal life or my spiritual life, or I'm okay with mediocre. Well, no, I'm not okay with that. And if someone is, then that's up to them. But I highly doubt if they looked in the mirror, they would not be okay with being mediocre.
That's right. And so what's next for you?
What's next for me
What do you want to implement, or what do you want to do
Mhm.
better, or what do you want to improve, or what are you going to implement next?
I'm looking to implement next. Well, one is really to make sure that this morning routine is internalized to where my sleeping in will be 7 to 8. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to extend it to 90 days.
Yeah.
Because I just have so much momentum right now that I don't want to lose this, especially going into fourth quarter. Typically fourth quarter and first quarter are my best quarters, and I do not want to let off the gas right now. And next would be to really 10x the 7 Levels book club. And because my business increases every time I teach when I teach it.
Everybody should note that. I'm just, you want to supercharge your business, like
Just
lead something, lead a book club, whatever it may be, because all of a sudden you become even more accountable, and you also start to notice things that you've never noticed before. So,
and what's really funny is when, so I internalized 7 Levels. It's my entire business model. When Matt and I teach it, and you made us certified referral trainers for you. So who should know the book better than your certified referral trainers? So when we teach it, so we're on our 4th book club, and we sit down and game plan every single time before for about 2 hours before to see how we can tweak the next class, and before each session, because it's 4 weeks in a row. And every time there's a part in the book that Matt and I will say, well, where did that come from? That was never in the book before. Like that just showed up.
I added it to your book when you guys weren't looking. There's a little thing called the book fairy, and I've hired the book fairy to go check. No, it is funny though. Every time you read it,
every single, and it's in one paragraph.
Yeah.
Like it would be in one. His thing was how to have a system to get his success stories out, and then I pull out the book, and I'm like, Matt, it's in the book. And it's the one paragraph. We're talking 3 sentences on how to get that out in a system for it. And he's like, I don't believe you. That's not in there. That just like magically, that's a different book than the book I have. And we go through this every time.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, you're shining, and you are going on the road quite a bit, and speaking about your experiences, and teaching people how to have better businesses based on love, generosity, and appreciate. For those people that are interested in that, and I highly encourage that, how do they reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to me would be my cell phone number, which is 954-661-6990. And my email address is tara@greatfloridahomes.com. Florida is one word spelled out, and homes is plural. Or my Instagram, Miss Tara Carter. That's MS because I'm not married. And so Miss Tara Carter, and those ones are typically, or on Facebook, is the best way. And I'm always looking to go to new areas, meet new people, and just spread the generosity generation and give some love.
I love it. I love it. Well, Tara, I definitely appreciate you coming on today, and so looking forward to your future successes, even in looking at the amazing growth that you've had in 3.5 years. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on today. And this is a podcast that I think people are going to listen to over and over again on their walks and on their jogs and on their bike rides. And I just appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate you. I'm very grateful for you and you coming into my life and introducing Jen. I truly don't feel my business would be where it's at today if I was not introduced to that book club and didn't go to your Jen event.
Wow. Thank you. So are you going to come on and guest co-host for us sometime? You ready to do that?
I'm ready to flamingo with you anytime.
Yay, let's do it. Well, thank you everybody for listening in and watching in. For those of you that watch the episodes on Referrals Podcast, check out referralspodcast.com for the most recent download. And also, I want everybody to know that you can check out more on her speaking dossier at certifiedreferraltrainers.com, certifiedreferraltrainers.com. And there's a lot of information on all of our speakers at referco.com, referco.com. And we will see you next time on the Referrals Podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.